Well, hello everybody. Oh man, now that's Varric. That's a way to start a stream, huh? Uh, I will address that, I guess, as people come in. Let's just give it a couple of seconds. Almost at 5K, guys. We are almost there. Thank you. We said we're gonna hit it by the end of the year. I think definitely we'll hit it by the end of the year. Let's make sure the audio is coming through really, really well. I think it is. Man, sorry. The stream was starting and then I saw that question come in and I died. That's hilarious. I will tell you guys the actual story. I didn't know. I would have never thought that there would be false rumors going on about. I mean, there's been rumors about me, but those are like misunderstandings and stuff. They weren't really rumor. I don't know what that conversation. It's too funny. I'm just dying. So look, we are 6 away from 5K. I think we can do that today on this stream. Now, as far as I remember, we hit 3K live on the stream. Let me see if I think I put up a short. Let me see if I can find that short. I think there was a short. And I'm kind of curious to know when that was. If anybody can find it, let me know. Like, it's in my shorts, but I've posted a lot of. He said, I can make you hit 5K right now. Well, I mean, let's do it. Why not? But well, I don't want you subscribing with like 5 different accounts. I don't like that. I'm not interested in that, really. Let's see. So I can get 6 people right now. Yeah, I want people to subscribe because they mean to and they like the sort of stuff we're doing, guys. Yeah, okay, here, I found it. Here, I'll put this up. This was, when did I post this? It's kind of cool to see from when to when, right? So, details. As people are coming in, what's up, folks? Come in. Hit that like button. We'd appreciate it quite a bit. Found it and then lost it. I'm trying to multitask here. Happy New Year. Should be an easier way of doing this now. Oh, no, I don't want. We're at 5,001, guys. Well, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We've just hit 5,000. You guys, if you remember, there was a certain gentleman who said that we would never hit 5,000. I mean, where is this certain gentleman? Has anybody recently heard of this certain gentleman? Thank you, Barrick. Okay, so let's address the question that came in. I didn't think I would have to somehow make a response to something like this, but it said, someone told me, I love this. Somebody told me that You got hooked up with Ruslan because he accidentally tagged you in a video instead of Apologia Studios. Is this true? Is it true? Is it really the case that Apologia Center got on Ruslan's radar because Ruslan made a mistake? The answer to this is no. This is this is false. Ruslan actually, I reached out to Ruslan, and just telling him, hey, because one of my friends at my church said, hey, there's this guy. He's Armenian. He does Christian content / apologetic sort of stuff. I think it'd be cool. You should check him out. I watched his stuff. And initially I was like, I'm not really interested in the cultural stuff that Ruslan talks about. So I just really wasn't interested in it. And then I kept watching and I was like, well, he kind of grew on me. And then I reached out to Ruslan and I was like, hey, Armenian, you're Armenian. We should maybe collaborate and stuff. And he never responded to me. And then I think maybe a month or two later, I got home from Bible study and I had a message on my Instagram, and it was from Ruslan. And he was like, hey, man, I came across one of your reels. I went on your website. I checked it out. I see your testimony. You know, we came to the country around the same time, have very similar stories. Why don't we get on a phone call? And so Ruslan, and I was like, dude, I reached out to you. And he was like, yeah, must have gotten kind of lost in the email stuff. And so we got on a phone call. We were on the phone for like 2-3 hours talking about stuff, and just it went from there. I went down and visited him in San Diego. Yep, that's the story. No, he didn't accidentally tag me instead of Atalius. Whatever rumor that is false. That's just not the way that relationship has developed. It's been pretty cool development of a relationship. So, what's up, everybody? Thanks for being here. Should I change the title of this video now? I mean, do we need to change the title of this video to "We just hit 5K"? Come talk to us. We're at 5,000, guys. I mean, this is cool. That was the goal. We hit it. Appreciate it very much for some of you guys and your multiple accounts. I generally, guys, I would prefer it to just be natural, I guess. Unless you called your friends and you're like, hey, go subscribe to this guy's channel. Okay, I'm gonna go back here. Eric, again, thanks for the question and the subs. What's up, Carl? How you doing? David, what's up? Hey, Keanu, what's going on, man? You did it. Do you feel any different? When I hit 2K, I realized that no number would make me feel better, but growth is good. Look, Barak, it's purely, look, my mood and stuff like that doesn't really go on and off based on how many subscribers I have on YouTube, or my meaning in life doesn't change. It does make a difference in regards to the way things get promoted and suggested on YouTube. 5,000 is a big number. So, yeah. What's up, Nick? How you doing? I'm going to open up the lines to call in both on Ecamm and Discord, folks. Well, Pisabi's on the ropes big time. I mean, the guy said we won't hit 5K. We've hit 5K. Okay, we're going to change it. We hit 5. What should I call it? 5K. And When is the interview with the open theist happening? So I'm probably not gonna have an interview. I might have one. Let me see. So I'm trying to not to schedule stuff in this busy Christmas season because professors are grading stuff. It's final season and all that stuff. Most of the guys that I bring on are professors, and so I want them to, I don't want to put that pressure kind of on them and stuff like that. So that's important to me here. Let me see. Okay, 47. We might have 2 more people come on, and then start off the new year with a bang with our 50th guest. Our 50th guest will be. I'm gonna announce it because we got this going on. Hang on, I'm gonna open the conversation, folks. Anybody who wants to jump in, you're more than welcome to jump in to the Discord chat. Our 50th guest will be Dr. J.P. Moreland, and we will be discussing his most recent book with Dr. Brandon Rickenbaugh. And the book is about substance dualism, so it's about the soul. It's a hefty book that they've written. I've already spoken to him. He will be he's confirmed he will be on our 50th guest. The date, I don't know, but definitely will be the 50th. So we've had 47 people on. We're going to have 2 more people on by the time Dr. Moreland comes on. And excited for that. But that's as excited as I get, okay? And then we're going to drop this thing in here if anybody wants to call in. And then we will pin it. So that's pinned on YouTube. If anybody wants to call in via eCam, you can. If you want to jump into our Discord, you're more than welcome to do that as well. Oh, David said, nice chair, Arthur. Well, it's so nice of you to mention it. It's very comfortable. Again, that is due to one of you guys who watches the channel, one of our Discord guys who saw me complaining about my chair and then sent me a gift, an early Christmas present, and said, buy yourself a nice chair. And so I saw this chair. It was on sale. I put about 30 some odd bucks on it and then was able to purchase this. So on top of what he had sent me. So it's a more comfortable chair. Thank you. What is an open theist? Well, generally, open theism is a position generally held within the Christian camp, largely speaking. And the open theist position is a commitment to free will in such a way where the future not only does not exist, but is unknowable, even to God. So open theists do not think God knows the future because the future doesn't exist. I'll leave it there. And I forgot my water over there. I should probably do a advertisement for this chair, but not yet. Arthur, do you think that the early parts of 1 Timothy 3 talk of overseers applies to internet evangelists? No, it does not. It is about people who are overseeing local churches. So I don't think it's, I don't even think it talks about evangelists generally. Excuse me. It's about elders in the church. Would open theists say that it's impossible to know that which does not exist? I think so. So the way it would go, Carl, is that the open theist says, how is it that God can't do logically impossible things, right? So God can't create a square circle or stop existing or sin or something like that. Like you and I all believe that. So the open theist says the future is that kind of a thing. The future is a logical impossibility that cannot be known. So therefore, it's not a limitation on God's nature. It is that it's the sort of thing that can't be known. I think Ephesians 4:1-6 is Paul's most comprehensive theology of ministry, ecclesiology. It includes function, titles, and purpose. Okay, we'll pull that up right now. You guys, it's taken us about 3 years plus to get to 5,000 subscribers. Here's the thing I was trying to look at, and then I got sidetracked. I was trying to find the short that I made and the date which it was to know how long it took us to get from 3 to 5,000 subscribers. Here. October 27, 2022. Come on, y'all. We're waiting for, oh, we just hit it. We just hit it. Whoa, look at that, folks. We just hit it. We hit 3,000. We have 3,000 subscribers. We've hit 3,000. That's it. We're coming for you. Oh, God have mercy. So that was last year. So in a year, so it took us 2 years, about 2 years to get to 3,000. It's taken us a year to get to 5,000. You notice what I'm talking about? Anybody that's interested in YouTube stuff, do you realize what we're talking about and the snowball effect that we regularly speak about? That's what we're talking about. So if things go the way that they have been going, maybe next year, by the end of 2024, we might be at 7,000 or 9,000 or 10,000. That's a possibility. Does God know if he can make a Nashville chicken sandwich so hot that he can't eat it? Also, when we get in that sandwich, whenever you come to where I am, I'll message you, man. Probably in the new year, considering how much stuff there is to be done. We'll talk about the Ephesians 4 passage right away. We'll come to that. Let me open up my logos. Welcome, folks. If you are just joining us, today is officially the day where we have hit 5,000 subscribers, ladies and gents. And we're really excited about that, isn't that's pretty cool. It's very cool. I'm like seriously excited, but you guys can't tell of how excited I am. I remember, like I said, there was a guy who's been around these circles, right? Who has made certain claims. And some of those claims were stuff like, you will never hit 5,000 subscribers. You know, sometimes he lurks in the background. Let me see if my audio tracks work on this.
This is
okay. That doesn't. It does. Yeah, so this dude was like, you'll never hit it. I'm going to make sure you never hit it. You guys know who I'm talking about. But he did tell me, like, he's got poems. Our last conversation went really well. And he said, maybe you will hit 5,000. Maybe you will hit 5,000. Okay. Probably say 5 million on my head. Sean, why are you being a jerk? No, he said, congrats. I know what's going on. It seems, Carl says, it seems that the reason they give for knowing the future to be logically impossible to be known is because it doesn't exist. Future does not exist, therefore it's impossible to know. That is not. What they would say, Carl, is that not only is the future an impossible thing to know, but knowing the future means that you have no genuine free will. So the main argument comes from that perspective, is that knowing the future means you don't have genuine freedom. Nick says, man, I joined January 14th, 2021. I'm currently at 1.3 subs. Taking my sweet time. One day I will be caught up with you. Just consistency. A good way to grow. What is going on here? Sorry, guys. Give me a second. Whoa. Something's going on with Discord. My Discord's giving me issues. Is yours? Shorts is a really good way to grow. Nick, they don't take long time to make. So what I would say is make shorts, put captions, and then just post them throughout the week, man. And if they do well, then your channel is going to grow. Go ahead and hit that like button, folks, as we are celebrating hitting 5K today. Today is November the 29th. So we went from, what was it, hitting 5K? I think I said October 27. Sorry, hitting 3K October 27 of last year to hitting 5K November 29. That's very interesting dating right there. Use that statistic somehow. So October 27, 2022 and November 29, 2023. Thanks for being in here, guys. Say hello. Hit that like button. Hey, Arthur, what do you think about women preachers? So it's not women preachers that necessarily bug me. It's that I don't think women are to be elders of churches. Even the category, like the conversations we have about women pastors or women preachers. Here's a question to ask. Are God's gifts limited to males or females? No, right? Like women can have the pastoral gifting. They can have the administrative gifting, so on and so forth. But I don't think gifting, that language in regards to gifting, doesn't necessarily translate into being an elder in a church or something like that. So I think when we look at scripture, we see scripture teaching that men are to be elders in a church. Currently, I hold to men being deacons as well. I'm pretty open to the conversation about women deaconesses. I can see the argument. I have friends. I have friends that believe in women elders as well. But I went to a Bible college that was founded by a woman. That was a part of a denomination that was essentially started by a woman. So I used to hold to women being elders. I used to be full egalitarian coming out of Bible college. And I've changed my mind on that stuff. So there you go, Noah. Yeah, I see your Facebook post, Nick. So I know you're doing quite a bit of reading. Open theists and Calvinists are strangely deterministic bedfellows. That's very interesting, right? They both conclude the same thing, that if God knows the future, it would imply that it's determined. The problem is both of them are wrong. Hey, what's up on Fire for Jesus Apologetic? How you doing? Can we run through the mid area of Romans 11 at some point as well? You said to hold off last time. Let me write this down. Romans 11. Give me an exact passage, okay, please? Elijah, how you doing? Good afternoon. Hope everything is well. Do you know any solid books on the atheist position on God? I'm trying to understand the world views on morality and such. Bertrand Russell has a book called Why I'm Not a Christian. That's probably one you might want to look at. That's a very, very popular one. I would not recommend you read The God Delusion. What's a good book? So let's ask folks. I mean, read the Bertrand Russell book. I think that'll do you good. If any of the atheists in here actually have good books on arguments for atheism, post it in there. Help Elijah out. I've been recently going through a manual for making atheists by Bogosian. I'm listening to the audiobook. So I'll keep my comments to myself on that. So, but yeah. Thank you, Sabrina. How you doing, man? Jerome, thank you for recognizing this. So the comment sections under your shorts are specifically are a disaster, and to no fault of your own. I know. They like. I don't know what to do. Okay, I don't, like so. Even on TikTok today, I just recently, because of the encouragement of Mike Jones from Inspiring Philosophy, who told me You have to post TikTok videos. Getting a phone call, guys. And so I started doing that, and somebody told me, "Grow up, God, it doesn't exist." You guys, we have a guest calling in. I've made references to him, so it's not surprising to me that he's been lurking and he's decided to call in. 5K, man. We did it with your help. Oh, you're muted. I'm sorry. I muted you accidentally. With your help.
Accidentally.
With,
Did you,
wait.
can
With
I
your
ask you-
help, we hit 5,000. Alhamdulillah.
Just one question. What website are you using to buy the subscriber? Because I don't think it is possible for such a how do you say mediocre channel to reaching 5,000 without to paying somebody for doing it for you. This is it's okay. You know, a lot of people cheating in business. I right now recently have business, and I see a lot of people cheating. It's not just you. I don't think it's. I don't mind it, but I just want to know what websites are you using.
Mr. Pisabi, have you been paying attention to my shorts recently?
W your your what?
My
I don't
shorts.
look. I am not a homo sapien. I don't look at other man's shorts. What is wrong
Not
with you? I only
the-
only long. Okay, long shirt, long pants. I don't look at shorts. What is
short
this?
videos.
Homo
Short
sapien. This is
videos.
Homo sapien channel. Am I
No,
on
it's
Homo
not.
sapien?
Well, we are
Is
all
it all the?
we're all Homo sapiens.
Is it all of the
Wait,
Homo
wait.
sapiens?
You are a
following
Homo
you?
sapien too.
Don't call me Homo sapien.
We're all Homo
This is very
sapiens.
derogatory. I am not Homo sapien.
But you
I
are.
can get killed for being Homo sapien.
No, every human is a Homo sapien.
Well, this is see this is what this is what Christianity is teaching. I can't do anything about this. First, you let whatever they want to
I
be,
think. Hang
and
on.
then
Hang
you
on. I
allow
think.
women. You said you allow women to preaching,
Wait.
and now
Hang
you're
on.
saying everybody God created for is Homo sapien.
Look, I
Okay,
think you're
got you.
confusing.
I don't,
Look, I know English is not your first language, but I think you're confusing the word Homo sapien with another word. I think you're confusing it with the word.
I think you're confusing what is the truth and what is not the truth, because I am said that God is created one man, one woman. Okay, they come together, make lots of baby, blah 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 blah. Okay, and but you are saying that everyone is Homo sapien. Woman can be to pastor, uh, whatever. I don't want to get too much in detail, but anyways, I just want to know what website you're using. www. Dot. Give me all the fake follower at Mr. Apologetic /.com. Is this it what you're using? Okay.
Are you gonna sing for me? Oh,
Yes.
Mr. Pisabi, I didn't know that you play music. I know you were a great poet.
Actually, one second. Let me.
Go ahead now.
Do you know who is the Shah of Iran?
Iran does not have a Shah right now.
No, but in the past, Shah of Iran. I was
Shah
actually.
Pahlavi.
Yes, I was actually one of his number one guitar player. But then when the other guy came, I don't want to name for him. They kicking me out.
Oh,
Okay,
you mean Khomeini?
I don't say to name.
But I thought you like Islamic dictatorships like that.
Listen, don't question me about what I like, what I don't like. When one, you're calling everyone for your channel Homo sapien. Two, you're saying that woman, that not the number one created. First was actually the man for created, then it was all of the animal mammal kingdom, and then three was the woman. You know, this is what is the Plato said. Plato says ideal first, ideal, and then after he says is man, and then after he says is all the animal, dog, cow, one, two, three, and then number
Be
four he
be
says is
careful.
to woman,
Yeah.
and then after woman comes a plant, vegetable, I don't know, grass,
I
all
think
these
you're just
things. But
making stuff
anyways,
up.
I
Look,
agree.
I think you're just making stuff. Let me just clarify something for you. I didn't say um, that women can be preachers or pastors. I said that biblically speaking, they can be gifted in the pastoral gifting, but I don't think they could be elders in a church. Number one. Number
What is
two, it
pastor?
seems to me, hang on, it seems to me that you are confusing the word homo sapien with homosexual.
Okay, yes, I was. Mr. Apologetic. See, this is why I don't like you, but sometimes I need you because if it wasn't for you, I get shooting 20 times in my Uber because I would be calling for people all the wrong word.
Yeah, so homo sapien means a human
Okay,
being. Okay, so
okay.
you're a
So
homo
I just want
sapien.
to make it clear.
I'm a
Yes.
homo sapien. Everybody in
Okay,
the chat is a homo sapien.
calm down. This is way off. Listen, I understand, but it still has the first four. I don't want to just confuse it.
Okay, okay, you
Okay,
don't
let's.
like the word
Anyways, I
homo.
am a hate. I am. Okay, I forget about. Woo, okay. I write. I actually didn't write song, but you know what? When you have been doing this for a long time, you don't need to actually write lyric because somebody pinging me, somebody sent me fax message 20 minutes ago and say call me because Mr. Apologetic is hit 5,000 subscribers. Now, to be honest, I usually having some things a plan,
Yeah.
but because I never believed that this day would come, I didn't have anything planned. So I will just make. I don't know. Make to something up.
So in hip hop music, they call this a freestyle. So you're gonna freestyle for us.
Yes, yes. Free style, Homo sapien style. Okay. Okay.
I'm liking you today. Today, me and you are laughing together. It's very
We
good.
are laughing.
I should also add, I really like your jacket.
Oh, thank you. It's very nice. I got this at warehouse. Very nice. Do you know? Where's the Burbank?
Yes.
Yes, Burbank, Home Depot Mall. Okay, there they have one. Main warehouse. This is where I got it. If you want
Hmm.
to go. Okay, but the glasses none of you can afford, so don't
Yeah.
even try. Okay, Gucci, Gucci. Okay, sorry. I didn't believe it that you can ever hit the 5,000. But then I was sitting to my house and eating the pomegranate. And I got a call from somebody. They said, turn on the YouTube. There is a going on. Yeah, it's gang. It's a nice 5,000. And I come in and I see him and I said, dirt on my head, 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 dirt on my head. I can't believe it. Dirt on my head, 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 dirt on my head. I can't believe
Why
it.
are you putting dirt
Uh,
on your head?
this is when we are angry at something happening, okay, we taking the dirt because right now I am very sad that you.
Is that a
I
sign of mourning?
yes, more. It can be morning. It can be
No, no,
night.
no,
It
not
can be
mourning.
day.
Like in the okay, again, one of those words that you need to understand. Mourning is spelled differently. It means to be sad when somebody dies, grieving.
No, actually, Mr. Apologetic, I know you don't know how to do word, but to be sad is to be sad. To be morning is when the sun is coming out, and It's light outside. That's
Yeah,
the
I think
important.
you need, again, English is a second language to you. It is to me too, but I think
Actually,
I know English better to you.
English is not second language. English is my fifth, fifth language, Mr. Apologetic. Dirt on my head, dirt on my head, dirt on my head, dirt on my head.
Oh, man.
Okay?
So you're very sad. You're
Yes.
grieving that I've actually hit 5,000 subscribers.
You know what? I am grieving, but
But you're
I
happy
am.
because Christianity is growing in the world.
I would say I am a little happy because every time you're hitting the kilometer stone, I can come up and do a come to the YouTube, become more popular, become more famous. So eventually, okay, just when I opening my own,
Ah, I see what you're
uh,
trying to do. Are
just
you
like
trying to
eventually,
take followers from my channel
no, no,
to
no, no. I will
eventually your
only,
channel?
no, I will only appear to MySpace. That's it, not anything else. But when I do creating my channel on MySpace, I just want to be more popular. This is why I'm coming for your channel, celebrating our 5,000. Good job. Because uh, yeah. Anyways.
But it should be said that you haven't gone on any other apologetics channels or anything like that. Like there's guys who specifically speak against Islam, but for some reason you pinpoint my channel and you've been attacking my channel. But we've created a good friendship. Is it because I have a very awesome beard and you have a good beard?
Mr. Apologetic, there is something about you I haven't figured out.
Mm,
And it's attracting me. Not Homo sapien attracting me, but is there is some level of connection that I just don't getting with other people.
mm, mm.
And so maybe I don't know. After after I went to see Carl,
Oh, yes.
I a little more open minded, not Homo sapien open minded, just a little open minded. Because I want, I don't know, Mr. Apple. I don't want to admit I like you because if I do that, I have to dump the entire dirt
Yeah,
for my
don't
head.
do that.
But
So,
I can say I don't like you a little less.
okay, if I
Is
were
that
to
okay?
gift you a Bible, if I were to gift you a Bible, would you read it?
I have Bible,
But if I were to
the
gift it to you,
newest word translation,
that's a bad one.
transition.
That's a bad translation.
Okay, which one?
The New World Translation is what Jehovah's Witnesses believe. We don't
Oh,
accept
but
that.
which one you are going to give me?
I will give you, if you want, I'll give you one in Farsi.
Okay, it's for. Do you have Arabic too?
I can get you one.
Okay, Farsi is okay. I just want to show I know a lot of language. Okay, because you said it's English is second
I'm
language, but
sorry. I'm
English
sorry.
is
Forgive
third,
me. I
fourth, fifth,
forgot.
sixth. Yeah, yeah. Okay, I know France too. I know France.
Okay.
Do they make Bible in France?
Yes, they do.
Okay, because a little crazy people. Anyways, Mr. Apology, I say this to you. Maybe if you're getting me for Bible, I can promise you that I will read one book to Bible. Okay, so you tell me which one to read. I will read to one book because you know what? I have to say, you reach 5,000 subscribers. What can I do? I have to show you some level of respect. I'm never gonna pay your Patreon, anything like this, but I can, do the list for you and maybe listen, read one book, as a sign of respect that you did what I personally didn't think you could ever do.
Yeah, well, you threatened me. Let's remember how you threatened me.
Yes. But we did have good conversation, good lunch. And I tell you what, I look at my iPhone health application and I don't want to say how old I am, but in my many, many decades being for this earth, I have never sweated so much in one day. I sweated so much um, to your studio. I don't know if it was because air conditioning was off or because maybe the conversation were to becoming so uncomfortable
Well,
that
I'll
I
tell you
was.
this. I'm sitting here today and I have a heater on. So it might be that, you were feeling the intenseness of the conversation and you didn't have answers.
Mr. Apologetic, look at me to my eye.
I'm
I
looking.
say this one time, and then I will go, and maybe you never see me again. Maybe you see me again. I don't know. But you will never ever hit 7,200 subscriber
Uh,
in
m-
the history of your YouTube channel.
um,
And if you
let's make it a good fine 7,500.
7,500, Mr. Apologetic, if listen to me for clearly, if you are hit 7,500 subscriber, okay, okay, I will one send you nice check, okay, nice check for gift. I will send you nice
You're
check.
gonna give me money.
Yeah, and I will say I will give you money, and it's more than $100.
Oh,
Okay,
business is good.
okay,
Well,
maybe maybe not.
last time you gave me $72 super
$72, but
chat.
this time will be much more. This time
Oh.
will be much more. Okay, you will get nice check for me. I will read Revelation, which is come on, Revelation. I will read Revelation. You get nice check from me. I will come for your channel and be nice to you for 10 minutes straight. 10 minutes straight. Okay? And I will make public appearance to your church.
Wow.
Public appearance. That means I come for myself, come to a Bible study, maybe even, I don't know, maybe we go crazy here. Maybe we even take a selfie together and
Oh.
share it on Discord channel. We
Discord.
share it on this. Uh, which
Discord.
one? Which
Discord.
one? Which?
Discord. You keep saying words wrong.
Did I say peace? Oh, okay. I think this is not sounding
Wait,
right. Peace
so
for
so everybody should know that you went to my church Bible study. I wasn't there.
yeah, okay.
Carl was
Because
teaching, but you were all
you
dressed up.
ratted
You
me out
said,
last week.
yeah, but you
You
said you were
ratted
all
me out.
dressed up.
Yeah, I was make my I put on a gang hat that said L.A. is gang L.A. on it. Okay, L.A. is gang is
No,
like
it's not.
L
It just
and
means
A.
Los Angeles.
Okay, whatever. I put this on. I painting this gold so everyone think I am a white guy, and this is why. Anyways, so I go there and they don't to recognize me. But if you hit Mr. Apologic, if you hit 7,500 subscriber, you get nice gift from me. I come and be nice to you for 10 minutes. Maybe actually write to you real song, and I show up public appearance and take picture with you because I know you want to be more famous. And if you take picture with me,
Well,
all the way.
okay. So somebody
Okay.
just said here, Sky Apologetic said, why don't you tell Mr. Pisabi that you don't care about money, you care about his soul? But Mr. Pisabi knows that I want him to become a Christian.
Okay, if you don't, okay, I know he's care about soul. I care about soul too. That's why I'm holding it right here. Okay, but Mr. Sky apologetic.
Okay, Mr.
If Mr.
Pisabi.
Apologetic don't care about
Wait,
money, then
Mr.
why I
Pisabi,
see
just
his
hang on. Hey, Aga
Instagram?
Pisa, Aga. Soul, Soul.
Okay.
It's what's inside your body, right? Like not soil.
Do you want to just continue to embarrass me on
No,
your
you
YouTube?
keep mixing words up.
Okay,
So
whatever. Soul,
I care
soul.
about soil too because I like planting stuff and gardening. But I care about you becoming a
Okay,
Christian.
thank you very nice. But okay, soul, S-O-U. Okay, listen, Mr. Scott, if Mr. Apologetic doesn't want to make the money and is caring about my soil, then why is he asking yesterday and saying everyone to his Instagram, everyone, please, even if you don't have money, even if your
I
family is
never said that. Hey,
homeless,
hang on.
right?
So I posted a video on
Even
Instagram
if you're
yesterday.
homeless, even if don't have anything, food to eat, dress to put on your children, send it to me because I care about soil. Okay? It is a little
Look, you
hypocrite.
said you're going to be nice to me and you're making stuff up. I never said that.
Okay.
I said if you are considering supporting any kind of ministry, consider supporting Apologia Center.
Yes, but you said it in a. You want to convict. You said, "Hey everyone, it's time for end of season. If you want to forgive, and if you want to forgive anywhere else, it's okay. But send for me, even if you're a little hungry."
I never said that.
He's on the bottom. He's on the bottom.
Uh,
He's on the
you're in a
bottom.
good
He's the
mood
guy
today.
who's sleeping.
You're in a good mood today.
You know why I'm in good mood? Because I'm sitting outside. My wife is not to home. My kid is not to home, and I have nice surrounding to me. And I don't know. You're making me laugh today.
That's
I
good.
will say this. I have always, whenever I see your face, I shout in the mirror. But today you're making me laugh. So I don't know, Mr. Apologetic. Maybe you're slowly turning into someone that I dislike very little. So you never know.
Well,
But anyways, I don't want to take too much. I tell you what, this has been very fun conversations for me. Even though you are cursed me in the beginning and call me all the kinds of things, bad word, we
I never
corrected
did
to
that.
F. Remember what you called me in the beginning?
What did I call you?
You said you are
Not Homo sapien.
Yes. Okay. Let's not use. Just promise me that if I learn lots of things from you. You should learn something from me. Don't say words like that. It's not nice for everyone listening. People are coming a lot of a struggle, and when you saying something like this for me, it's just very uncomfortable. You know what I mean?
Um, yeah.
Do I
Again,
have any other questions for me? Is there any other questions? I feel like my voice is getting a little strained.
you're pushing it. Saad, your good friend, who is an Arab but a Christian, would like to know
Oh,
if
this
he can come over
traitor!
to your house tonight. He wants
How
to
does he
hang
know
out
where I
with you.
live? How does he know where I live?
It's between you guys.
How does he know where I live? Are you putting my information online?
I don't know where you
Hey
live.
everyone, if you want to donate to Apologetic Ministry, I will give you Pisavi address. You can go harassing him to his house. You can go bother him. You can go through egg at his 2006 Mercedes Benz E-Class, fully loaded, panoramic sunroof with a leather seat, backup camera, added aftermarket, and black rim. Okay, this
You're
is
explaining.
I humbly drive this car. But anyways, Mr. Apologetic, thank you very nice for your
Thank you
time.
for calling in. I
Uh,
appreciate that you've apologized for saying that you didn't think I was going to make it to
yeah, I
5,000. And we have.
just like I say about car, when there is credit, I give credit. Now I know you like more credit cards, but this is okay. I just give credit, word credit. I not credit card.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Thank you very nice.
Thanks for
It
calling
was
in.
It was your pleasure. Thank you. And on behalf of all the Homo sapien, I just want to say, uh, good job.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Okay. So you've heard it there, guys. Pisabi called in, kind of apologized, but he doubled down. 7,500,000. Oh, that'd be a good, that'd be the day. 7,500 subscribers, and he said that he's going to make a public appearance at our church. That is Mr. Pisabi, who has been a friend of this channel, kind of enemy and then sort of kind of friendly over some time. Guys, I got to catch up on your comments. I don't know what you guys have been talking about. We see that there's people here. Radar Apologetics in the house. Rabbi Eduardo, how you doing, brother? Thanks for being in here. Hope everything is going well with you. Nate says, doesn't God already know the conversation? He already knows what you will say. Correct. God knowing, and this is the classical question, is that God knowing what you will do doesn't mean he made you do it. And there's no, like, not there's no way, but it seems very obvious and clear to me that when you say God knows the future, and that doesn't mean he determined the future, and some people just don't see that and don't understand it. So we got someone else who's calling in, and Rob Eduardo, what's going on, brother?
Hey,
Thanks for
hey,
calling
what's
in.
up, brother? How are you, man? Sorry, I'm just doing stuff in the office, but I saw you hit 5K, man.
Yeah,
Congratulations,
I
bro.
just did it
Blessings on your
today. Thank you,
ministry.
man. Uh, we're in the
Yes, good
same
to see you.
space, so good seeing you too.
Yeah,
Hey,
for
I like your
sure.
light. Look at that. You got your lights and all that stuff.
Yeah, I usually don't show this side of stuff, but this is the other side of the office. But yeah, man, I'm happy for you, brother, and much blessings on your ministry, man. May you just continue going forward in the Lord and following his vision. He give you clear vision for another 10 and 15 and 20 to wherever he's going to take you, man. He just bless you and all that you're doing, man.
Thank you so much,
Honestly.
man. You too. You're such a blessing to. I think I said this when you were on that your channel is very unique and it's different from everything else that we see. So you have a very clear perspective, and again, unique perspective because people don't expect that, right? Like you're kind of stuck in between worlds, and it's really cool seeing you navigate through that and explain and preach the gospel to those who are listening, to
Yeah,
anybody who would
appreciate
hear,
that,
huh?
bro. Absolutely. It's funny because, you find friends where you don't think you're going to find them, and you find enemies where you don't think you're going to find them. Sometimes I think this guy's definitely going to be on my side, right? And he's not, right? And then I get this other dude, oh, he's not going to be liking what I'm going to say. He's actually like okay with what I'm saying, right? So I think it's just trying to be consistent with the word of God for me, in my opinion. Being as consistent as I can with the word of God and presenting it and being willing to fix whatever I need to fix, right? If I'm off on something, I'm willing to massage that and say it differently or be more articulate or be clearer. And I'm open like that. That's how I try to be. I think you're like that as well. So, and I still want to get you on the channel. So, you let me
Would
know
love
what
to.
works for you to get you on. I mean, even the next couple of weeks or whatever, I'll send you a message, and we can make that happen, brother.
Amen to that. So there's some people in the comment section. Seems like they don't know who you are. Somebody
Yeah.
said, "Are you a Messianic Christian?" So just go check out his channel, Radar Apologetics.
Yeah.
Um, say a couple of things about you and what you do for them.
Yeah, so I'm a Messianic rabbi. I'm ordained by the IMCS. I serve as the associate rabbi of a Messianic congregation in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. And my YouTube channel is Radar Apologetics. It began as doing apologetics against rabbinic Judaism, giving an answer for rabbinic Judaism. But then it's kind of widened up as well. I have a background in being a DJ, so that's why you see the lights and the turntables and stuff like that. So it's a little bit of a unique channel, like you said. So very gracious of you to say that. But yeah, that's what that is. So that's what I do. Please go check it out, Radar Apologetics. We're at 5,600 right now, growing. Channel's growing. So me and
So
Art are in the
because we
same
hit
space. So
5K,
let's keep going.
because we just hit 5K and you hit 5K, um, when was it? I remember watching this in the car going somewhere. So this might have been like, was it a month, 2 months ago, something like that? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was like a month ago. Yeah,
Yeah.
about a
So
month ago.
what have you learned? Just so some people, like, let's make it a YouTube kind of question, right?
Yeah.
What would be the thing that you would recommend for folks who are thinking about starting a YouTube channel or have started one and maybe they're struggling or something like that?
It's tough, because you get advice from people who are YouTubers first and then Christians second,
Mm-hmm.
right? Not that they're not real Christians, but just that they're on YouTube to create content first, and then secondary, they're believers, right? And I'm not saying that their belief is secondary to them being YouTubers. I just think their main thing is making content and having more numbers and more views. Where sometimes you get people that are more ministry minded, right? There are some people who are Christians who have YouTube as a business, and there are some people who are Christians who do YouTube as a ministry. I think we need to recognize yeah, I
Yeah.
think we need to recognize the difference of that. I think the person who is a Christian who does YouTube as a business is going to do it in a way to be more conscious of algorithm, be more conscious of views, be more conscious of those things, which isn't a bad thing. I think they still serve a space. I think they still serve the body. I think it's all good. But then when you have a person who's primarily doing it as a ministry, right? I think sometimes algorithm has to be secondary because vision has to come from the Lord, right? And things are I think there's a little bit of a difference. So I would say no matter whether you're doing YouTube as a business or YouTube as a ministry or YouTube as a combination of both, to first take that thing to the Lord and see what his vision is for the ministry. And if you're walking in line with that vision, you'll be successful because the Lord will take you wherever he wants you to go.
Amen to that. Yeah, I would say consistency, folks. Just be consistent. I think we've all realized that one of the things It's weird to think about it this way, but YouTube rewards this, and then it makes sense why, because they want people to stay on their platform longer. And so the more consistent you are, whether that's live streaming or regularly posting videos, and then use all of it, right? Like post shorts, do long form, do shorter form in the sense of like 3 to 8 minute videos, 8 to 15-minute videos or something like that. And then you will see that happening. But I completely agree with that. Like for me, YouTube is a extension of my ministry. Apologia Center is a ministry. It is an apologetics ministry / evangelism ministry. So we train people to do apologetics, and then we do apologetics as well. But that doesn't mean we can't use the algorithm, right? That like, there's wisdom that comes in from those sides, but consistency
But you
matters.
would say it's secondary, right? It's secondary. You're not gonna like
Correct.
if the Lord told you to talk about Islam, you're not gonna not talk about Islam because your videos are getting shadow man, right?
Yeah. I mean, dude,
yeah.
I put up videos and it's like, all these other videos have all these views, and then this one has like 50, and it's not moving. So
I've noticed it, you know, even in talking about Israel, right, and those types of topics, right? You know, I've seen that some of those videos where I'm talking about it they wind up getting not as many views, right? It is what it is, the nature of the beast. But yeah, like you said, I think consistency is great. I mean, consistently getting better. One of the things my wife always gets at me about is because I really like to I'm a little bit of a perfectionist when I'm doing things. So I want the sound to sound right. Even me being on my AirPods right now is kind of making me tweak out a little bit. I'm actually having like, I'm actually shaking a little bit, but
it's coming through good.
I like sound to be good. I like the lights to be good. I like the camera to be good. I like, the sound insulation. I see you have the insulation. And my wife would just be like, just go make videos, and I look at other people, they're working with like a webcam. They've got 100,000 subscribers, right? And they're killing it, right? And so I think it's all the Lord, it's all the quality you put out. I think consistently try to get better every day, right? Get better every day. And, I heard Ruslan say you get 1% better every day. By the end of the year, you're 300% better, right? So
that's not bad. Good advice, Ruslan.
Yeah.
Reverend Nick Quint wants to know where you're going to seminary.
So I did my undergrad at Muhlenberg College. I was a double major in Jewish studies and religion studies. I'm doing an MDiv in biblical languages at Liberty University, and I'm going to be doing some graduate work in rabbinic literature and text, so post-Jewish biblical cultures.
Yeah, that's a guy you might want to connect with, by the way. Nick is finishing up his PhD. Nice. He's doing some dissertation work. So great. Nick, reach out to him. Instagram, email. You guys would be fun to see a conversation between you guys, because he's done quite a bit of work on like New Testament studies and Second Temple Judaism and all that stuff. So I think it'll be interesting.
Does he have a channel?
He does have a channel. Yeah, it's whatever that it says there. New Testament theologist, Reverend Nick Quint.
Cool. All right, man. That sounds good.
You just called him Ruslan. No, I didn't call him Ruslan. I was.
No, you're saying good advice, Ruslan. You put words in your mouth. That was good. All right. Well, Art, I got to run, brother. Bless.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Congrats on 5K, brother, and to 50,000 now, right?
Hey, let's do 7,500 first, and then we'll every day, one day at a time, brother.
Amen. Hey, listen, Lord give you vision, right?
Thank you, man. Bro. Yeah,
Peace.
You too. Thanks for calling. Appreciate the encouragement. Yeah, you guys check out Rabbi Eduardo's channel, Radar Apologetics. He's different, especially if you're apologetically minded. The content he talks about, most people don't talk about. Maybe the one other person that talks about the sort of content he talks about is Dr. Michael Brown. But he even talks about it differently than that. He's just extremely knowledgeable. Thank you, Mods. Thank you, Dave, for putting up his the link to. There's Nick's channel. Go subscribe to Nick. Man, we just want to encourage folks and the work that they're doing. We want to encourage folks. We want to encourage the work they're doing. The ministry they're doing, specifically those people who are in ministry, and then people who just have good content to put out there. To encourage the church, to challenge the skeptic and the unbeliever. Like these are really, really important. I don't want to say jobs. These are important things that I see going on and people are doing. So it's great stuff. Scott Pauljack says, I'm actually a mod on Radar channel. Love the guy. There you go. There are so few pastor theologians, man. Come on now. You know, yes, this is a problem, and it used to be not a problem historically speaking, but there's a separation that's been created between the pastoral office and what pastors do and then what theologians do. I agree with you. Okay. Scrolling to see what some stuff you guys have written, guys. Go ahead and hit that like button. Look, if it's your first time on this channel, there are 28 people here. If it's your first time, you're here because of the title. You're here like, hey, I'm interested to see what's going on here or whatever like that. Drop a comment. Say, hey, what's up? First time. We will say hello. We will cheer for you and welcome you. And thank you for being here. And if you have questions about God, we'd love to take those questions. If you have something to say when it comes to religion and Christianity, we'd love to speak to you about that. This is an interesting question. Do you think the Messianics are closer to the original Jesus movement? Maybe, maybe not. I'm not sure on the way we would go about answering this question. Again, I have an interview with Rabbi Eduardo, and we kind of speak about these things as to why we should do it or not. The question is whether Messianic Judaism, the way it is today, let's say in the United States, is culturally the same way that it was in Jesus' time. And I'm not very sure about that. Culture has changed quite a bit. Judaism has, as he was talking about when it comes to rabbinic Judaism and refuting stuff that they might be saying. Culture has really moved on in the last 2,000 years. The way Jesus did things is not necessarily the way we do things or the way even Messianic Jews do things. I mean, consider the fact that they're doing a lot of stuff in English. Assad says, I'm a wannabe theologian. You're a good one, man. I see anyone who goes to seminary as someone who knows more theology than I do. Maybe so, but not always. Nick, you're being asked a question about what it means to be a pastor theologian, my guy. Yes, the Messianic Jews keep kosher Torah. Yeah. Again, go watch the interview I did with him. It's phenomenal talking about that stuff. So he doesn't eat pork. Correct. We're checking up on some comments and stuff like that. There you go. That's a good. Rabbinic Judaism is so far from what Radar believes and teaches. He follows certain laws, though as far as his tradition and communities. We will be dropping a new sweater / t-shirt, working on the design on that. That's just going to say Mr. Apologetic on it. Okay? With like the, what's it called? The way to pronounce it. Mr. Apologetic. And then we'll see what kind of a picture is going to go with that. It won't be my face, like the bald, bearded, and biblical ones. Expect to see some folks you might know wearing the bald, biblical, and bearded sweaters this upcoming winter. I'm not going to tell you who, but expect some folks that you might know wearing them. But there's a qualifier there, guys. They got to be bald, bearded, and biblical. Still kind of cold in here. They have a red calf in Israel, I heard. Okay. Bald, biblical. Bald, bearded, and biblical and beautiful. He says he's got the bald and bearded down. Well, get the biblical down and then get the shirt. Naftali, thank you, man. Naftali says, congratulations on 5K subs. You do a great job, brother. I appreciate it. You guys, I really do appreciate you guys. I should take a moment to say that. I know there's a number of people who watch the videos, maybe aren't even on the live streams, but watch the live streams or watch the other content that we produce. And then, like, I hear about it from other people. Like yesterday, one of my friends told me that he knows someone who regularly watches this channel. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, this is not a person that I don't ever remember commenting or anything like that, but they regularly watch. And he knows them. I get it. Not everybody wants to be that, public about it or whatever like that. And they don't want to get involved in the comment wars and all that stuff. Completely fine. But again, I appreciate the fact that you guys are encouraging, appreciate the fact that you guys use this and learn from it and see the way that I do things at least, and then say, hey, we can implement that. And I get to be a part of your journey in your life. That's really, really cool for me. It's a great blessing. And we hope that that's going to grow. We hope the ministry is going to grow. And yeah, we'll see where God's going to take us. It's unfortunate that you make merch. Are you saying it's unfortunate that I make merch? I get what you're saying. It's unfortunate that you make merch, and then the merch itself heavily restricts who can buy it. There are 3 conditionals to that jumper. As a good philosopher, I must. Well, the next shirt's going to have 1. Because it's going to say Mr. Apologetic on it. Maybe we'll create a women's one that says Miss or Mrs. Apologetic. That's a thought. But look, I give you my word, Jerome, that we will come. There'll be some Apologia Center merch that won't restrict it in those ways. Sky Apologetic says, Arthur, I'm strongly considering going to college for philosophy. What's your option on going to college for something as specific as that? Well, I got my graduate degree in philosophy. Sky, my question would specifically be, where are you going? It really matters where you study, you guys. It really, really matters where you study and where you get a degree at. So if you want guidance in that and you have some options and you're thinking about that, let me know if I can guide you to the best of my abilities. I'm assuming this is for a bachelor's degree, but if it's not, I got a school in mind that you might be considering to go to. Hey, Jason, you should rewind a bit because Pisabi called in. We've already dealt with that man. He doubled down. He told us if we get to 7,500, you guys, the faster we get to 7,500, the better it's gonna be. To see Pisabi at church, take a selfie with him. Psh, let's do it. There is no such thing as halal pork, guys. It's a joke. You keep saying I'm trying to get a degree of some kind, but not sure if I should. Is this a bachelor's degree? Is the question. Also, are you familiar with the Sadakis brothers, Joel and Parker? Yes. Not the brothers. I know Parker. I was actually with him at a conference last week. We hung out and spoke a little bit. Parker's been a guest on my channel. Go check out the interview I did with Parker. Yeah, I'm familiar with Parker. The school Parker goes to is the one, Palm Beach Atlantic. If you're on the East Coast, go to Palm Beach Atlantic if you want a Christian school to study at, especially if you want to study philosophy. The professors they have there are great folks. So I know Paul Copan is there. Paul Copan is a really good friend. He is a supporter of this channel and this ministry. He's extremely encouraging and has been over the years. And yeah, so look out for some stuff that's going to come out from Paul Copan on this channel at least. Brandon Rickenbaugh, who's a professor there. Brandon was a classmate of mine. He was finishing up his graduate degree when I was there at Talbot. Ended up going to Baylor and doing his PhD. He's brilliant. Paul Gould is there, who's again a guy I've had on the channel. So yeah, man, they have great faculty there. If you can do it online, do it online. If you can do it distance, I mean, a lot of these schools already offer distance stuff, so you can study from abroad. But that's, again, both of those are graduate programs. They're not bachelor's programs. Let's study Romans. Michael Hillman just comes in here and says, let's study Romans. As a matter of fact, Michael, it's interesting that you should say that. I got this as a gift. I'm actually planning on buying the entire package, but I got this as a gift at the conference I went to, which is, these are journaling. So, individual books of the Bible, and then so this is the ESV translation, and it has a journaling side here. So this is the book of Romans. So this is going to be my next study I'm going to go through. I did Acts recently, and then I'm going to go through the book of Romans for my personal devotional time. So Thoughts on Matt Slick? Matt Slick's website, calm.org, has been of great benefit to me throughout my Christian walk. I disagree with Matt on a lot of different stuff theologically, but I've really, really enjoyed the content he's put out, especially on his website, and the stuff I've just seen from him has been phenomenal. And so those are my thoughts. Jerome, can you tell me specifically which part of Romans 11 you want to look at? Verses 11 to 24. I had like 4 questions about it, but based on how it usually goes when I ask you questions about these passages, you will probably just answer them all in passing. Would you mind jumping on Discord so we can have this conversation that way? So you asking your questions, I'd really, really appreciate that if we can do it that way. Yo, 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 yo. We got a super chat that's coming, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. Askia Jones, congrats on the 5K subs, bro. Well deserved. God bless. God bless you. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. So we're looking at Romans 11, verses 11 to 24. But I would really like it if I had it open and you were on the call with me. You do know that song. That's because it's on your channel. That's okay, Jerome. Just do me a favor and call in. We'll formulate it. I want to. It's a heavier text. That's partly why I want to do this, because I don't want to just like say something and then you write something and then it just gets. That way, when they're on the call with me, you can interrupt me and say that's not what I mean, or explain it this way or something like that. Okay, so I'm in the Discord chat. I'll help you. I'll help you on how to phrase them if I know what you're kind of talking about. Just a word there, by the way, because we have a bunch of people in here. So let me do a kind of plug. That's very important as we go, folks. If you would like to, please support us on Patreon. I know that's an old logo of Patreon, but Patreon has a newer logo. Jump on Patreon, and you don't have to be a paid member or audience or whatever they're calling it now on Patreon. You can join our Patreon community for free. But also, one of the things that we were supposed to start yesterday, and then we were waiting for that because of some miscommunication yesterday. We are doing Bible studies. We have been doing Bible studies through the book of Ecclesiastes. And we're going to continue that for folks who are patrons of $5 or more. So if you want to jump on Patreon, become a patron. And then there's just other ways you can support this ministry. Patreon's one of them. You can directly, if you want to like become a regular, you can Zelle it, you can go on our website and sign up through that, which is a monthly donation and stuff like that. You realize that the ministry that we do is not just YouTube, speaking engagements, churches, apologetics conferences. We do work in Armenia. So yeah, we're a broad ministry that does apologetics work. We would love it for you guys to partner with us. A super chat is one of the ways. Askia, just gave a super chat. That's one of the ways. But there are many ways that you can support the work that we're doing, especially as we're coming to the end of the year. Some folks want to hang on to donations they want to make to different ministries till the end of the year. We have some folks like that write us a check at the end of the year and they go, here you go, God bless you. If you're one of those and want, at least consider us to be a part of that kind of giving. Or you might just say, hey, I want to support this ministry and I believe in the work that they are doing. God's good. There's a term that I'm going to use a lot more. Jerome actually kind of said it, but not really. He said, I think he said internet apologists or internet evangelists, something like that. Whether the Timothy passages apply to those people. But one of the things that recently somebody used, and I was like, you know what, we need to use this terminology a lot more, is digital evangelism. And you will hear me speak about digital evangelism a lot more. And digital evangelism basically is sort of like a missionary work. So if people were going to hit the streets or if people were going to go to a different country or something like that, they don't have to, because we can get to do evangelism sitting in front of a computer on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok and all that stuff, because we get to talk with people and build relationships globally, guys. Globally. And we don't have that large of an audience, but we have some of an audience. And God's using us in those ways. So thanks for being a part of it. Thanks for being a part of the conversation. And I also want to encourage you guys to join our Discord. Discord, I would say Discord is where we have a lot more detailed and personal kind of conversations. And so if you're not on Discord, please do so. All of this stuff, every single thing I'm saying, in the description box, there's links to every single one of them. Discord, Patreon, website, Venmo, Zelle, Cash App, whatever. All of it's there. You can access all of that. Okay. Now I'm going to wait for Jerome to call in. There he is. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me pull up this text. Okay. Yep. It's up.
I'm going to have to mute the YouTube and
what was that?
And then try and follow along. It's like obviously I can't see it from here, right?
Yeah.
So
sorry. But
there you go. I can see it now.
Okay. Hey, I'm running out of space in my little notebook. Woohoo. So you said verses 11 to 18, right, Jerome?
24.
24, sorry. It's the whole passage, essentially.
Oh,
This
it's
whole
just
section.
longer.
This whole section.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to do something that's going to be interesting. I wonder whether you can hear it or not. Let's try this. Whoa. That's not what I want to do. That was weird. Sorry. What is going on? Okay. Sorry guys, I hit a shortcut and for some reason it started playing. I found it.
The intro music.
Yeah, my intro music is playing. I try to hit a shortcut for my Bible software to read the text.
Now, if their trespass means
There we
riches
are.
for the world, and if their failure means riches for the Gentiles, how much more will their full inclusion mean?
Okay, it's reading from the beginning. I don't want to do that.
Can it do that? I had no idea it could do that.
Well, my software can do that, and then Bible Gateway does that as well. They have a pretty good reading audio thing. So here's what it says. So I asked, did they stumble in order that they might fall? By no means. Rather, through their trespass, salvation has come to the Gentiles. The they there are the Israelites. Okay?
Right.
For folks who might not know this text. So rather, through their trespass, their sins, salvation has come to the Gentiles. Okay? So, as to make Israel jealous. So that's the so as is a reason statement. Now, if their trespass means riches for the world, and if their failure means riches for the Gentiles, how much more will their full inclusion mean? Now, I'm speaking to you Gentiles. Inasmuch as then as I am an apostle to the Gentiles, I magnify my ministry in order somehow to make my fellow Jews jealous, and thus save some of them. For if their rejection means the reconciliation of the world, what will their acceptance mean but life from the dead? If the dough offered as first fruits is holy, so is the whole lump. And if the root is holy, so are the branches. But if some of the branches were broken off, and you, although wild olive, that's the you there are the Gentiles. Okay. Let's do that. Although a wild olive shoot, were grafted in among the others and now share in the nourishing root of the olive tree, do not be arrogant toward the branches. If you are, remember it is not you who support the root, but the root that supports you. Then you will say, branches were broken off so that I might be grafted in. That's true. They were broken off because of their unbelief. So these are Jews who are broken off because of their unbelief. Remember, the author is a Jew himself. Let's not forget that Paul is a Jew who is not broken off. Can you mute yourself for a second? There's some feedback coming in. But you stand fast through faith. So do not become proud, but fear. For if God did not spare the natural branches, those are the Jews again, neither will he spare you. Those are the Gentiles. Note then the kindness of and the severity of God. Severity toward those who have fallen, but God's kindness to you, provided you continue in his kindness. Otherwise, you too will be cut off. And even they, if they do not continue in their unbelief, will be grafted in. The they there again are the Jews. If they notice the conditional here, if they do not continue in their unbelief, means that they come to belief. They will be grafted in. They will be grafted back in is the idea there. For God has the power to graft them in again. For if you were cut from what is by nature a wild olive tree, and grafted contrary to nature into a cultivated olive tree, how much more will these, the natural branches, be grafted back in to their own olive tree? Okay. Okay, Jerome, go.
I like how you said go, and then the questions I have aren't really well developed, I guess.
That's okay. So this is a controversial passage, I should say. Christians disagree on this passage, or the the implications of this passage. I mean, the meaning of the passage is pretty clear,
Right.
but the implications it has theologically, Christians disagree on.
You might want to run me through that because I didn't even think about that much.
Okay, so so let's go through the meaning of the passage. That's probably the best place where we can start. The meaning of the passage is he's been talking about Israel, and then he's been talking about how God has, in his goodness, essentially, elected to include the Gentiles into this family that he's creating, into this, the way he speaks about it is a tree. Some of the people in that tree, the branches, right, because of their unbelief, have been cut off, and in their place have been granted in Gentiles, who are what he calls a wild olive tree. So wild olive tree into a cultivated olive tree have been granted in, and they now the Gentiles are a part of the family of God because the Gentiles have believed, and then the Jews have not believed. And then he goes on to give a warning passage to the Gentiles, right? So there's this warning he gives. He says, hey, don't get arrogant. Don't think that you're like more special or too good or something like that, because God can do whatever he wants. Don't become unbelievers, essentially, because in the same way, God can cut you off and regraft them in if they continue in their if they do not continue in their unbelief, which means if they believe. So it's sort of like just telling you what's happened in regards to the Gentiles that are now the Gentiles are now included as the people of God as well. And what you would consider to be the people of God, which is Israel, which is, the people of God because of Abraham's belief. It's also a warning passage to the Gentiles not to get arrogant, or to even look down on Israel. And then that's why he says, look, if you guys as wild branches have been grafted in, how much more fitting is it for natural branches to be brought back into the natural tree? So that's the way. So that's the meaning of the text. The questions, the implications that could be problematic here is in regards to what it means to be cut off and what it means to be grafted in, and could. I
was going to ask that actually.
Yeah.
One of them.
So I think verse 20, they were broken off because of their unbelief, is essentially this idea that Christ came to his own. The Gospel of John speaks about this. He came to his own, but even his own did not accept him. Right? It's John 3:17. Essentially, the John 3:16 talks about God's love for the world and God sending his son to die for the sins of the world. And then John 17 goes on to talk about like those who don't believe or who don't accept this are already essentially on the outside of that. That God's enemies, let's put it that way. Ephesians 2 talks about this. The idea here is that they rejected God and his way of salvation and his means of salvation through Christ. And because they've rejected him, they are cut off now. They are no longer a part of the natural tree because they're branches, right? So these natural branches are cut off. And then, I don't know if you know much about how tree grafting works, but so the wild branches, it's still an olive. He still refers to them as an olive tree. But the wild olive tree, which is the Gentiles who've traditionally been on the outside of the household of God, are now members of the household of God. So the cutoff just means they're no longer the people of God. I know that's a major statement to make, and some people would disagree with me on that, and or what it looks like, because some people still have this theology that the Israelites or Jews are still the people of God. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say they're the people of God. I would say something like they might be inheritors of the Abrahamic promise. They might be inheritors of blessings from God because of Abraham's faithfulness. But the people of God are Christians. The people of God are people, both Jew and Gentile, slave or free, male or female. The people of God are those people who put their faith in Jesus Christ, i.e. Christians. Do you have any comments on this?
Yeah, no, I'm thinking for a second because I'm trying to. And where is it? All right, here it is. So I think I remember that in other areas of. I'm not sure if it is Romans actually. And you probably would be based on it being a letter to a different region. There's a lot of talk about like being prideful, right? Like thinking that you're better than other people for like different reasons. Is this like the same sort of thing going on here? Or?
Well, I would have to look at the context, but yeah, generally, yes. There's an aspect, I think, in Scripture where the people of God, to put it kind of in the common language, is like we have no right as Christians to be proud. Because consider the message we preach, right? The message we preach is that we can't save ourselves. With sinners, we are so broken, so lost, so blind, where there's nothing we can do to reconcile that relationship with God. And so God, knowing this, loved us so much that he himself solved the situation and saved us. Again, regardless of kind of the soteriology, regardless of whether someone's a Calvinist or not, it doesn't matter. God's the one who is initiated this relationship, who's actually found a solution for this problem in that Jesus loved us while we were yet sinners, died on the cross for our sins. And like all that's required of us is to believe. Like it's so ironic to have an individual who's proud of this, right? You literally haven't done anything. God's done all the work. And so you believe and you are saved, and now you're a part of the family of God. It just makes no sense to be proud of that. It's sort of how nonsensical racism is, right? Like you and I didn't have a choice of being born whatever we were born. Right? White, black, brown, orange, doesn't matter. We were born without any say in the matter. This is why racism is so stupid. And then you just like sit there and you're like, oh, we're better than these folks. You didn't do anything. You didn't earn that. Right? And so it's that kind of ideology you get repeated in the New Testament, that as the people of God, you can't be proud of this. Right? You can be happy about it. You can be joyous about it, but you can't be proud about this.
I didn't want to interrupt you, but you saying orange earlier, like almost kind of caused me to break there. That was pretty funny.
Yeah,
orange is some sort of a race.
Yeah, it's not. I just threw it in there because it's just funny that how we speak about colors of skin where none of that stuff is accurately even represented. Like no one's really white. It's like it would be very, very weird if you saw a really white person. Okay, like
it would be. So I guess by extension, then the root that's talked about in like verse 18 is God. Then.
I'm sorry. Say that again.
So the root that's talked about in verse 18 is God. Then, right?
So
okay.
So what is the root, right? Like, so yeah, do not be arrogant toward the branches. Okay. So which branches? Well, it seems to be that it's the ones that have been cut off. Or it could even be branches that are still connected, meaning they're Jewish people who've accepted Jesus as the Messiah. And the reason why I say this comes kind of the contextual nature of the book of Romans. The book of Romans is written to the church in Rome. The church in Rome is having a sort of cultural dispute. So the church in Rome has Christians and Christians that are Jewish and Christians that are Gentile in it. And they're having a conflict between one another. And the reason for the conflict is that the Jewish contingency wants to still keep Torah and wants to still be very much Jewish. And then the Gentile contingency doesn't see a necessity of doing that as New Testament believers. So there's a conflict. And you get this in Romans 14, and you get this in various places. You even get it in Romans 1-3 that both of them are the argument from Paul is that both of you guys are as sinful as the other. You don't have a right to think that you're not. So do not be arrogant to the branches could, in my mind, could be a reference to branches who have been cut off. It could be a reference to ones who are still connected that are natural branches that you shouldn't be arrogant towards. Okay?
Okay.
And then he gives the warning there. Because the reason why I say this is because later on in Romans, he's going to argue that, hey, he uses this terminology about being weak in faith and strong in faith. Essentially, he's talking about people who are bothered in their conscience over certain things, like eating certain things or drinking certain things or keeping certain things as holy, which are religious holidays, Sabbaths, and stuff like that. And so what he does is he tells those who are weak in the faith, by weak he means sensitive there, bothered by certain things, not to judge those who are strong, those individuals who perform those acts, say they eat pork, right? For them not to judge them. And then those who are strong in the faith, which means they're not bothered by those things, not to look down on the weak in the faith. Again, it's trying to reconcile, in a very pastoral sense, problems in the church, right? Christians who are having theological disagreements with one another, and he's telling them, hey, you Gentiles, you've been accepted now, and that's great. Praise God. God's the one that's done this, but be very careful not to think you're better than the ones who've been cut off or those who are still Jewish, who are still connected to. And then because God, the idea here, I think, is that your arrogance and your pride will lead you to essentially a rejection of what God has done, because, pride puts all the attention on you, which is also what he's accusing Israel of, that they've become so proud of who they are as children of Abraham. I'm saying this stuff because I think he argues for it in Romans 1-11. That they got to a point where they kind of were so proud of their heritage where they missed God in the midst of that. Right? I think Romans 9, when it's talking about the election of Jacob over Esau, these are all precursors to this whole conversation over the issues that they're having as Jewish and Gentile Christians.
Maybe this is like a plain reading on my end, but I'm kind of surprised that there would be some sort of division on, like, especially like dietary requirements on there in anyway, because I feel like there's definitely a part where I forgot who it was, but somebody has a vision of. That's
Peter in the book of Acts. Peter has a vision.
That's it.
Yeah, but the problem is that, here's what I would say. It's very interesting because Peter's vision has nothing to do with food, actually. When in the vision, when he sees this sheet lowered with all these animals on it, and then he hears a voice that says, kill and eat, and then he says, I've never touched anything unclean. That's a reference to people. Because immediately after that story, these representatives come from Cornelius, who's a Gentile, who's a Roman, And then Peter goes over to them, preaches the gospel, and they all believe. I mean, Peter speaks about this like God has accepted the Gentiles, right? So the vision is fulfilled in the Gentiles. It's that vast amount of different kinds of animals is to represent all of humanity, not animals per se.
That's actually a good point. I did forget about that.
But I mean, in the Gospel of Mark, Jesus makes a statement about food, and Mark in parentheses writes, by saying this, Jesus made all food clean. That doesn't mean people's kind of habits stopped, or even what they would have seen as revelation from God. It's the way they did things as Jews stopped, right? Like let's set up an example. I'll give you a scenario, okay? Suppose I go to Saudi Arabia and I preach the gospel, and like 18 Saudis become Christians. What I would not do is be like, guys, tomorrow I'm cooking some pork. Come over to my house. Because I think that's, at the very least, just culturally insensitive. I wouldn't even want these guys to feel violated in their conscience, because they might be bothered by just the eating of pork, because they're used to, like, honoring God means you don't eat certain things. So I wouldn't push for, now, if they said, hey, can we eat pork as Christians? My response would be, yeah, there's nothing keeping you from eating pork in the Bible. Like, you're free in the New Covenant to eat whatever you want to eat, but you don't have to. The issue is in this, the division is coming about. It's not just dietary stuff, right? It's about certain holidays that they keep, amongst a bunch of other things. And this is a regular thing it's a regular point of conflict in the New Testament between Gentile and Jewish believers. And so the letters in the New Testament, we call them occasional letters. I don't know if you've heard that term before.
No.
Meaning that it was written occasionally, in the sense like there was an occasion, something had happened. And so therefore, the biblical authors wrote to address a certain point or some points.
Okay, I see what you mean. I remember one example of where that happened as well.
Sorry, what was that?
I remember an example where that happened, where somebody, again, I forgot which book it is, but somebody has done some form of sexual immorality.
That's in 1 Corinthians, yes.
And then, okay,
yeah.
Then,
but that's not the only thing in Corinth, for example. There's division in Corinth as well. As a matter of fact,
obviously there's more stuff.
Yeah, in 1 Corinthians, people are having an argument over like who they follow. Like, oh, I follow Apollos and I follow Paul, and some people are like, I follow Peter. And Paul writes to them and he goes, are you guys nuts? Why are you guys dividing the church? Why are you guys talking about you follow Apollos and Paul and Peter? You guys all should be following Jesus, because Paul means me, Peter, and Apollos all follow Jesus. He, as a matter of fact, goes kind of a step further and he goes, I thank God that I didn't baptize any of you guys. And so that you guys wouldn't be like, have to commit to like following me or something like that. And so divisions have kind of always been there, because there's personalities, there's views, there's all these issues. The question is not even whether divisions are always going to be with us. It seems to be the case that they will. Paul himself divided with some other Christians. Barnabas, who was his friend in ministry, they at certain point divide over whether they would take this other guy named John Mark, who was the author of the Gospel of Mark. And Paul doesn't want him to go with him because he thinks he's a spoiled brat. That's my commentary on the matter. But later on, it seems like they've reconciled, because when 2 Timothy is being written, I believe. Yeah, 2 Timothy, where Paul says, hey, tell Mark to bring my coat and my books and stuff like that. So divisions are always going to be there. It's the way I think the New Testament authors are going about it, is addressing it, and then specifically trying to boil it down to like a theological point where it doesn't allow for people to mistreat one another And if so, and bring them to a place where it's like, hey man, you don't want to eat pork, don't eat pork. And you guys want to eat pork, that's fine. You can eat pork, but consider the people that you're around, right? So Paul goes on, as a matter of fact, in this whole conversation in Romans, he goes on to talk about like, I believe this is in Romans, unless it's in 1 Corinthians, but the ideology is the same in the sense that he's like, man, I'd rather not even eat meat. If that meant causing somebody else to like lose faith and not follow Jesus, he's like, I'd rather not eat meat. Even in this passage, like Romans 9 to 11, he speaks about, he's like, if God were to cut me off, he's like, I wish God were to cut me off and then graft in my entire, like save my entire nation. So he's very self-sacrificial in the way he's thinking about this matter. And it's really being concerned with the heart and the mind and the conscience of the people before you, which means you act in love, is the way that the Christian should go about this. And it's kind of like this idea of self-sacrificial love that Jesus showcased for us, and the way we're supposed to showcase this for one another in the church. So just to point something out here, notice the way this passage ends in 24, or what they think is the thought ending. For if you were cut from what is by nature a wild olive tree and grafted contrary to nature into a cultivated olive tree, how much more will these, the natural branches, be grafted back into their own olive tree? Check this out. Lest you be wise in your own sight, essentially arrogant. Right? He says, lest you be wise in your own eyes or your own sight. I do not want you to be unaware of this mystery, brothers. A partial hardening has come upon Israel. The argument here is that, like, for a certain time being, it seems like Israel is hardened in their hearts and they're in unbelief. And then he goes on to argue for the rest of the passage that there will come a time, until the fullness of the Gentiles, there will come a time where they will become more receptive to Jesus, to the gospel. So he kind of gives a reasoning as to why it is the way it is in their setting, right? So he's making a sort of argument as to why there's a conflict, why those people who should have naturally accepted the gospel, again, Gospel of John talking about Jesus came to his own, and his own did not accept him, have now are now rejecting. They don't want to believe. They're in unbelief.
I kind of hate that I see these as at least the way I have them here. I have them like kind of separated off, like segmented. I mean,
Correct.
And so I didn't really think about what you just said. So, I mean, obviously, it sounds like really stupid when I say that, right? Because it's like the verse after.
No, this is my issue when it comes to chapter divisions and then sections. And I've spoken about this before with people, and even with you. Verses are not inspired. They were put there by human beings for our own designations. And then titles. For example, verse 25 and on, it's separated in mine as well. It says the mystery of Israel's salvation. Or the passage we just looked at says Gentiles grafted in, right? Like these are subheadings that are put in there by the translators. And every single one of us know that every translation is an interpretation. And so not necessarily, that doesn't mean that it's bad that there's interpretation. Sometimes we need help with understanding original language stuff, any original language. But it does mean that at times we could think like the thought has stopped, and it hasn't.
But it hasn't. Yeah.
This is the passage I use to point this out all the time. And this is common knowledge amongst biblical scholars. It's Genesis chapter 1. Genesis chapter 1 should not end where it ends. When they did the chapter divisions, they did a bad job. As a matter of fact, if you flip your Bible or you scroll down, as I am, you will notice Genesis 1 ends with verse 31, and then chapter 2 begins, and then there's 3 verses in chapter 2 that are on their own about the 7th day. And then there's a new section that begins with verse 4. Well, the problem is that chapter 2, verses 1 to 3 should be a part of chapter 1, and they should be verse 32, 33, and 34. Chapter 1 should go all the way up to verse 34. Those 3 verses should be a part of chapter 1, and then chapter 2 should have started with what is verse 4 in chapter 2. But when they make the divisions, they made it stuck, and no one's going to go back and say, hey, by the way, the thought doesn't stop here. And this is why you guys, the 6th day, it's so natural, like it's so obvious. Chapter 1 ends with the 6th day, and then it says, and thus the heavens and the earth were finished, which is a concluding remark. Yeah. Like, in conclusion, the earth and the heavens were finished.
Weird, actually. Yeah,
it's so obvious, right? Like, from a literary perspective, it is so obvious. It's like screaming in your face.
You wouldn't see that in any other book, right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't see a chapter start in any other book with that, yeah.
And
that's really weird, actually.
And this doesn't happen often in the Bible, I should say, but it does happen. It does happen where the thought is kind of interrupted by a chapter division. And this is why even when I recommend that people read the Bible, I never tell them read a chapter a day. I don't like that, because sometimes you should read 2 chapters, because that's as long as the thought goes. And so it makes sense to break it down to understand that you're reading, follow the train of thought, and then when the train of thought stops, sometimes it's very clear, like it is in Genesis 2:4. These are the generations of the heavens and the earth when they were created in the day of the Lord made the earth and the heavens, and then it's very clearly a thought break, as opposed to verse 1 of chapter 2, when it's a concluding remark, and then it actually talks about the 7 days, which is so clear, because it just spoke about 6 days, and then now it's talking about a 7th day. Like, duh. You want to finish that one, So, yeah, in regards to Romans 11, man, this is so annoying. Every time I go to this, it just plays the intro for some. I got to figure out. Hang on. Loop video, do nothing. Hang on. I think I fixed it. Nope. I haven't fixed it.
There it goes again.
Yeah. We'll figure out what's going on afterwards. But so yeah.
Oh.
Go ahead. It's okay.
Oh, and then I was going to say that when I was reading this, I guess I had because I was reading I don't know, like a book per day. At least I tried to
really.
So,
wow, props, dude.
Like, at least for the first I don't know, maybe it was a bad idea. It took a bit too long, and I spent like 4 hours on each one. But
yeah,
I guess I had locked into it. I was originally going to do I don't know, 10 chapters per day. But then I looked at it and I was like, this doesn't seem like enough, and it seems like there's some things going like this, because there's obviously like ideas that carry into the next area, right?
Correct.
So I don't really want to break them off for the sake of completion.
That's
on my end anyway.
Look, that's the best way to do it.
Maybe I locked into it for a bad reason. So
that what you did, I mean, unintentionally, I would say, is the best way you read it. As a matter of fact, we have one of the girls at our church who was teaching a bunch of the youth at a certain point, and what she would do to them was, I remember they did a study through 1 Corinthians, and she made them read the entire book every day for a week. So every single day they had to read all of 1 Corinthians for 1 week to become familiar with the flow of the text. And then she would make them read, I think, a chapter a day for like a month or something like that. And again, that was the idea was so that they became so familiar with the kind of the language, the flow of the text, so that they would be able to outline the text and understand the flow of thought. But one of the best ways you can read New Testament letters, because a vast majority of the New Testament letters, New Testament books are actually letters. And they were, in the first century, they would have been read in one sitting. Like they would have had a church meeting. Yeah. They would have had a church meeting, and then somebody would have said, hey, I've arrived with a letter from Paul, right? When Paul's letter carrier would have arrived in Rome, he would have read the entire letter in one day. And sometimes we miss that. So the way you did it is really good because you got a kind of an overview of each book. And that's like the first thing people should do if they're interested in studying the Bible. Now, after you've done this for a while, then yeah, you're not going to do that. Like I very rarely do this now. But I did quite a bit of it, especially when I was in Bible college. When I was in Bible college, I did Isaiah in one day. Isaiah has 66 chapters. It's a very long book. But I had a Hebrew prophets class. So we did every single one of the prophets like that. And some of them are short, and so they're good. They're fun to do. But we'd usually couple them together. And then we would have to outline them. The cool thing is when you do this, you kind of understand the flow of the text. Like, so if I were to break down the book of Romans, the book of Romans has two sections, essentially. It's 1 to 8 and then 9 to 16. But those are also separated into different. So 1 to 3, Romans 1 to 3, he's making a certain kind of argument. That's a section. And then 4 is sort of standalone, and then 5 and 6, or 5, 6, 7, and then 8, and then you get 9 to 11. Right. So this is the way this stuff breaks down. So 11 that you're asking about is a part of 9 to 11. He's making a more general argument from chapter 9 to chapter 11. Now, again, you're going to have scholars who are going to say, should we include, let's just say, right, like, should we include 7 in 5, 6, 7 or 7 with 8? Like, those debates are always going to happen. But generally, if you understand the major flow of a text, you're just going to understand it better. Like it doesn't, and again, this is just about literature in general. This is about books. It doesn't have to be the Bible per se. It's anything you're reading. It makes sense for someone to read, let's say if you're reading a normal book, hey, it makes sense that you read either section by section because the author would have told you what those sections are, or for you to read chapter by chapter. You're going to have a better handling of the situation.
You just reminded me. So a few months ago, you might not even remember this very well, but I think it was like one of the first videos I watched. Like it was a thing like this, and then somebody in chat was talking about people who do some sort of like daily reading, but the daily reading is like one verse or two, and then you got really annoyed. and you spoke for about 2 minutes straight about how bad that is and like how immature people are who do that.
Yeah. I've hated that stuff, man. I don't know.
Yeah, like, you just reminded me of, because I obviously back then I was like, yeah, that seems a bit bad, but I don't know, like after reading it myself, that seems like insane, right? Like you read like 1 or 2 verses. I imagine if I decided to read let's pick up a good example here. Like, let's say I decided to read like verse 17 here, like by itself. Like that would be so confusing, right?
Oh man.
Obviously, the people who do this are gonna pick verses that like potentially, I don't know, say something on their own. But
so this happens. What you're saying happens with Christians. So I'll start with Christians first and foremost, and it happens with non-Christians. So like the number one misquoted Bible passage to me, has been, doesn't the Bible say you shouldn't judge? And I've like changed my answer over the years to this, but my answer now is, I don't know, does it? Because the Bible just doesn't have a blanket statement that you shouldn't judge. As a matter of fact, Jesus' statement is about, the same judgment you use to judge others will be used against you. So the idea is, do not judge, because the standard you use to judge other people will be used against you. So know that you got to be you can't be a hypocrite, right? Like that's more against hypocrisy rather than like a flat out,
Yeah, sure.
I can't have an opinion about someone being wrong or not. But again, it's because people don't read the sentences around it. And so, man, I was reading a hermeneutics book. So this book is specifically about how to study the Bible. And this guy said, and this is so sad, this guy said that somebody came to him in a church, a lady came to him in a church and told him that God told her to divorce her husband. And he was like, that's really strange, lady, because Jesus very clearly teaches us not to divorce our husbands or our wives. And she, this is a true story. It's very laughable, but it's a true story, which makes it really, really sad. But she basically opened up the Bible to a random place, and then and it's out of the book of Romans, and the passage is put off the old man and put on the new man. And she thought God was talking to her somehow. Now, what she didn't consider is that the old man there has nothing to do with an actual man. It has to do with your old self, right? And putting on your new self as a new creation, as a Christian, rather than your old self, your carnal man, your worldly man.
Sorry, which verse is this? I do not remember it.
This, oh man, I'll tell you the verse.
But I'm not saying it's not in there, because it probably would be, but
I'll tell you what passage. So sorry, this is out of Ephesians 4.
Do you know what verse it is?
Yeah, I'll tell you the verse exactly. Yeah, Ephesians 4:22. It's very interesting because it seems like the King James is the only one that has the old man. Yeah. So Ephesians 4:22, Paul references.
The version I have here says old self as well. Like, I don't think I've ever read old man.
The version she was reading was the King James. The King James version says, "Put off concerning your former conduct the old man, which grows corrupt according to the deceitful lusts." Okay. What that means, your old self. It doesn't mean, regardless, this lady, for some reason, had taken this passage thinking that it's talking about her marriage and divorce and stuff like that, and
yeah,
just
don't know how
insane sort of stuff. And you're thinking about it, you go, no, man, like, read around it, do a basic study. But I know a lot of Christians that do that. I know a lot of Christians who kind of, they have their verse of the day or whatever like that, and I don't know why we kind of expect so little from ourselves. And I mean this both like in the church, but also in our cultures. Like, I very regularly I hear people saying stuff like, "Oh, it's okay, he's just a little kid." And I look at it and I say, no. Is he capable of that? Or is she capable of that? That's the question you should be asking now. Not they're a little kid, but whatever that means. Right? And if they're capable of it, then let them do it, and you should expect them to do it. And if they're not capable of it, don't expect them to do it. And that's fine. But we do that with Christians, right? Like, I've seen in the church quite often people saying like, "Oh man, they don't, let's get them to read a verse a day." It's like, no, they're already reading a bunch of useless information. I mean, the person that can't read a verse a day reads like 120 tweets a day. So they can read a verse a day. They could read more than one verse a day. So let them read more than one verse a day. That's that's my whole spiel. I just go kind of crazy about that because we actually read quite a bit in our culture. The people come up to me.
You read the wrong thing.
Well, it's not necessarily the wrong things. It's things that we're interested in reading. People think that we're not a very literature-oriented culture. But think about the amount of blogs that get read, the amount of comments that we read on a Facebook post, YouTube post, on Instagram. Like, people are reading quite a bit in our culture. And my encouragement is, hey, I'm not saying don't read that stuff, but don't tell me you don't have time to read the Bible when you're actually doing all that reading already. So take some time away from that and apply it to the Bible or to theology or whatever, right? Like, and your reading will improve and all sorts of really cool things will happen to you as well. But I don't know. We kind of don't expect people for some odd reason to actually live up to higher standards. And I try not to do that. So I've kind of bragged and boasted about my son, and I will continue to do so. That's because, I have expectations of my son, and he meets those expectations, which are really great. My son in the past 2 months has read. He's actually more than halfway done through the 4th Harry Potter book right now. He's 9 years old. He's reading a 700-page book. Okay? Now, that's because he's interested in it. And every free time he finds, he'll pick up the book and start reading. And that's great. And so when other people come to me, they're like, oh, I can't get my 9-year-old to do this and that. I kind of look at them and say, well, let's ask like what you're doing. Are you reading in front of them? Are you reading with them? Do you expect them to read? Do you give them books? Do you look for good literature for them to read? Like, do you take time? Or do you just tell your kids, like, read without ever giving them any direction? So I've ordered entire book series for my kids to read. I've ordered C.S. Lewis's writings. I recently ordered everything written by J.R. Tolkien. We've been reading through the Silmarillion together, kind of a mix between me reading and Andy Serkis reading for us. When you do those things, you realize that your kids will actually step up to it and then be able to do that. And I think the same is true with teenagers. The same is true with adults. And I don't like it when people just generally don't take that seriously and they kind of try to find excuses for all sorts of stuff. Hey, Faith, how you doing? Okay, let me pull this off the screen. So again, I commend you for the sort of reading you did, and maybe it was not intentional, but you definitely did something that a lot of people I know don't do. And I think that's partly why you've had the questions that you've had, is because you did that reading in how long did it take you to read? Let me ask you this. How long did it take you to read the New Testament?
Good question. I could find out actually.
Like, you can give a guesstimate. Like, was it a week, 2 weeks, 1 month?
Yeah, it's something like 3 weeks maybe.
3 weeks. That sounds about right. So you got 27 books in the New Testament. Yeah.
Obviously, like I kind of obviously I think I've told you I got a bit annoyed at one point, so I stopped reading for a couple of days and I just went back to it.
Yeah.
But like the things like the gospel, what you said about, like, I think it was Isaiah, like being like 60-odd chapters, like that is crazy to me. And like I was burning out after like 25 in the gospels.
Dude, when I was in Bible college, when I was in Bible college, I found myself sleeping on my Bible very often.
I am not surprised. That is 60 chapters, man. Like, are they like because the Gospels had, because obviously the
28 chapters. The longest one we have is the Gospel of Matthew, and it's 28 chapters.
Okay, because they're not consistent, right? Like sometimes some of their books are going to have like a lot of verses within their chapters.
Correct.
But
yeah.
The Gospels have upwards of like 40 at least. So when I got to the letters, I was expecting more 40 verse chapters, but then there weren't any. Well, at least there weren't as many, right? But with the Isaiah ones, like 40 or 50 verses long.
Yeah. So you're right. Some chapters are longer. Some verses are longer. And so it kind of get, but Isaiah generally is just a long book. So I figured out a kind of a hack for myself. And I should tell people that I'm a fairly slow reader. And then the thing about reading the Old Testament is there's quite a bit of terms, and not terms, like places, locations, names that is hard to figure out the pronunciations of, like in English, right? Like if you don't know, if you come across like Jehoshaphat, and then you don't know how people say that generally, you might have a hard time with it, right? Like unless your English is really good. And for me, those things mattered. And so the hack I found out was to read as I listened to it. So I did, and I actually got permission from one of my professors to do this, because I felt guilty, because like it was a part of the assignment to read it, and I was like, oh, but I feel like I'm cheating if I listen to it. And then I went and asked, hey, can I read and listen? Can I listen and read at the same time? And he was like, yeah, no problem. And so that's what I would do. And then I realized, well, I wasn't falling asleep because I was being guided in my reading by this other person. And so that was really, really helpful when I was going through that stuff. And I still do that with certain books, by the way. I should tell people. There are books I buy, and if I realize they're a bit heavier, where, I'll read like a couple of paragraphs and I'm kind of like realizing I'm sort of lost, I will buy the audio version of that book as well. I'll get the Audible version, and then I'll sit there and go through it. So,
and that's actually interesting to me, because I don't think like audiobooks are I don't know, like interesting to me, because obviously like you can listen to like podcasts and stuff, and it's not really the same. But I think that like the Bible is the one place where audio versions just don't work for me.
It doesn't. You're saying it doesn't?
Like, I don't think it does. No.
That's interesting.
I don't know. It's weird. I did try that once. Didn't really like it very much. It was just, I think it's just better for me to read it, to be honest. I don't know if anyone else thinks that. But.
This update, I think they updated the Discord app. It's weird. Hey, Saparaldi, what's up? So again, I do it because it keeps me concentrated. I've also heard that people, when they listen to audiobooks, they kind of listen to it passively, and so they don't pay as much attention. So that could be a problem as well for people.
That's what I felt as well.
Yeah,
that's what I felt as well. Yeah.
For me, it helps in the sense that I don't necessarily have to pay too much attention to fill in words. And so I can pay attention to kind of the main meaning of the sentences. And so it helps for me to kind of understand it a lot more. Read books is old school. Reading books is old school, Sean says. Okay, Sean. But like novels and stuff like that. Like I listened to and read through The Three Musketeers. I did the same with the Count of Monte Cristo. So I think audiobooks are great. And again, like I said, I'm currently doing that with the Silmarillion because Andy Serkis is a way better reader than I am. And he's able to change voices for characters, and my kids love that. But when we do that, when we're listening to that, I actually have the book open and I'm following along in the book. And that also has a lot of weirdly pronounced names. So that helps. Are we good on the Discord, guys? Seems like Sapere has bad internet connection. I just realized the new update actually shows you if your internet connection is weaker. That's interesting. Your audio is gone. That's interesting. What is going on? Try jumping out and back in there, Jerome. Okay, hang on. Now my audio is not coming through. Yeah, that's weird. Okay, are we back? Nope. Not yours is. That is. This new update, Discord just did an update, and it's very, very problematic. Are we back? Yep, we are. Hey, Joshua, how you doing?
Yeah, I missed, like, if you said anything over the past minute, I just missed it, so.
What is this? Would anything that is displayed or read on an LED LCD screen be considered false light, or does that train of thought fall into sun worship? I have no idea what you're talking about, my guy. Okay, let me just... Is it false light? It depends on how we're using those terms. What we mean by false. I'm curious. Keanu saying, what is false light?
I thought that was going to be in reference to, like, because you were talking about, like, falling asleep to like the Bible or something, like listening to the Bible or something. I thought they were going to say, is it going to, like, hinder you sleeping or something? Because they mentioned, like, an LCD screen. But that's not what it was at all. I don't know what that is about, but.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm confused about that question. He said I read it somewhere. No, I don't think it has anything to do with any of that stuff. I should say I bought a device called the Remarkable, and it doesn't emit light. It's one of those like readers that doesn't emit light. It's a digital ink, digital paper, and I use that quite a bit for reading articles that I don't want to like stack up in my bookshelves. Or so it's like I can keep it in there. I can keep PDFs in there. I take notes. I do whatever I need to do.
Do you mind pulling up the verse again?
There we go. This music is hilarious every time we put this up. Okay, go for it.
I have to wait for a second now. YouTube delay is crazy.
Oh gosh, I forgot it's Wednesday, you guys. I just checked my phone and my wife.
You forgot that.
Dude, this is so weird. Like, I have no idea. But I just checked my phone. My wife was like, "When are you gonna take them?" And I was like, "Take who?"
Maybe this. So the first couple of verses, I guess, in this, like verse 11 here. I'm still not too sure what those two.
So I ask, did they stumble in order that? So he's answering a question. So we got to go back, right? So I ask. He says he's posing a question, whether it's rhetorical or it's part of his argument. Like, what was the purpose of the Israelites stumbling? Okay, so he's saying the first part of the first verse here is, he says, I'm asking, did they stumble in order that they might fall? Like, is the purpose of them stumbling just failure? And he says, by no means, absolutely not, right? Like, no way. Rather, he says, it was for this purpose, basically. He says, through their sin, through their trespass, salvation came to the Gentiles. So there was a grand kind of narrative here. There's a grand idea or a purpose that their failure is being used for the Gentiles to come to salvation. Okay? And he says, in turn, what it's going to do is so as to make Israel jealous. So he says, in turn, what that's going to do is going to make them jealous that the Gentiles have now been accepted into the family of God. I think this verse, and I'm just going to shoot, this is a very American term here, right? We've spoken about this before. I'm going to shoot from the hip. He says, so as to make them jealous. And I think this is like intentionally ambiguous because we don't know whether this is like a good jealousy or a bad jealousy. We don't know if this is like, oh man, like, oh man, like look at this thing that the Gentiles have been accepted to be a part of the people of God. Like I want that. Or if it's like, I'm jealous that they are the people of God now as well. And I think that's intentional because both of those could be true. Because a jealousy of the first sort could lead someone themselves to salvation. A jealousy of the first sort could be like, wow, like I missed it. I can't believe I missed it. I need to get my priorities straight. And then a jealousy of the second sort would make somebody hate the individual in front of them. And I think both are seen there. And then it says,
I think it would be weird for the second one to be true, right? I don't know. It seems like, because I guess the idea is that,
well, it could be
everyone.
It could be, Jerome. It could be in the sense that Paul's contemporaries could have been jealous of what he was preaching, like he's taking away their cultural kind of religious identity. That was only for them, because remember, it was only for the people of Israel. It was only for the descendants of Abraham. And even if you wanted to become, like, you had to become an Israelite, essentially. Like, you couldn't necessarily remain being, let's just say, Macedonian, right? Like, you had to go through a process of conversion, which ultimately was you become an Israelite, you become Jewish, you get circumcised. And there was people in the process of that, and some were and some weren't. And there's different words the New Testament uses for people like this. And not just the New Testament, like ancient literature. Like some are called proselytes, some are called God-fearers. God-fearers would have been people who like believed in the God of Israel, but haven't gone through like making a covenant with him. Proselytes, I believe, were like individuals who were in the process of becoming converts. So there's all of that. It could be that they would have become jealous in the sense of like, how dare you take something that was just for us and make it for the world?
Oh, okay.
Because look what he goes on to say in verse 12. He says, now, if their trespass or sin makes riches for the world, and if their failure means riches for the Gentiles, how much more will their full inclusion mean? Now, again, this is kind of, he goes from saying a negative thing to like a very positive thing, right? He goes from saying like, they failed, they didn't accept. He goes, yeah, currently they failed. They haven't accepted. They're in unbelief. But he says, how cool would it be for them to actually be included in the full inclusion of this? Right? Like, it would be so awesome that not only would that mean a good thing for the Gentiles in the world, but that they themselves would be included in this.
Wait, so this is why I think that, I don't know, the first option that you gave earlier is true, because
yeah,
I guess the intention is that
let me see
they fix up, I guess, and then they come back, right?
Correct. Yeah, but it seems like the heart is like sort of always that, like whether people would do that or not is sort of on them.
Yeah.
But you get these sorts of passages in the Bible, not, I don't want to say quite often, but you get it enough where jealousy of a certain sort leads to like loving more. It leads to being more committed. It sort of like awakens you. It wakes you up to saying, wait, hang on here. Why don't I have the kind of passion and love that individual does? Like, so it causes you to re-examine yourself. Sorry, let me, I think I missed some of the questions that came from On Fire for Jesus. I'm sorry for that, sister. I'm going to focus on this. Jerome, I'm going to turn the Discord off because I got to go because I got to take my kids.
Yeah, I was thinking you've been there for ages. No, I appreciate it. And actually, I was kind of hesitant to come on.
Thanks.
I mean, it was a good idea, right, in hindsight. So.
Thank you, because it's way better conversationally, because imagine writing all this stuff down.
Yeah, indeed, yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Take care, man. Okay, I'm sorry that I missed your question. Okay, another question. Hope it's not missed. It isn't missed. As a Christian, we hardly hear about references to Amos. So why do Mormons focus? So why do Mormons focus is on the passage in Amos about apostasy? I find it far-fetched. I'm not familiar with this in regards to Mormons. Quoting Amos? Excuse me. So I found this other question. I have a question that I may have or have not responded to. I want to know, as a Christian, what is the best way to lead Mormon brothers to the true light of God? What is the best way? Oh man, it's probably a lot better people to answer this question rather than me. I would recommend you actually check out Apologia Studios. Jeff Durbin and them do a really, really good job on how to evangelize to Mormons and what that looks like. Yeah, the other thing I would recommend is I have a book sitting back here somewhere. It's called The New Mormon Challenge. Okay, buy that book. Please, that book will help you quite a bit. It's called The New Mormon Challenge. It's written by a bunch of evangelical Christians, and they're responding to Mormon claims. So just, I would say, study, become familiar with Mormon theology and the stuff they teach. It really depends on the person. For me, I like starting with the idea that Mormons believe that the creator of this world used to be a being like us and had origins, and how the Bible doesn't teach that. And so I start with a general concept that God is uncreated rather than a created deity. And then I let the conversation progress from there. I don't know about the Amos passage. I don't know. I have no idea. Okay, folks, I got to go. Again, sorry, I forgot it was Wednesday. And so thank you guys. We hit 5,000. Yes, on to bigger and better things. Thank you for your support, your love, your encouragement, and your questions. I hope you're challenged by me. I know I'm challenged by you guys. I will see you guys some other time. Take care, and God bless.